Good afternoon, students. So, as we are discussing chapter number 10, respiration in organism. Respiration in so we were discussing respiration in organism, and in this topic we discussed about why do we respire. That means what is the need for respiration. Okay, so basically respiration is the process, okay, by which exchange of gases takes place between the organisms. Okay, that means the gases which we require for what? Okay, require for energy. That means the gas which help us to give energy. Okay, that means what I mean to say, in terms of respiration, the food that we eat, okay, it needs to be burnt. Okay, and that food is burned by the gas oxygen. Okay, and in exchange some byproducts are released from our body, and that byproduct, as in case of animals, that byproduct is carbon dioxide. Okay, so we discussed about why do we respire. Then we also talked about the definition of respiration. That means the process of taking oxygen into the cell, using it for producing energy, okay, and removing the gaseous waste, that means carbon dioxide and water, are termed as respiration. So respiration, basically it has two processes. Number one is external respiration or breathing, and another one internal respiration, that is also known as cellular respiration. Okay, so we have two types of respiration: external respiration, that is also known as breathing, and cellular respiration, that means internal respiration. It mostly takes place inside the cell. Okay, so we also talked about types of respiration in cellular respiration. Number one is aerobic. Okay, aerobic respiration, mostly there is a use of oxygen. Okay, whereas another one is anaerobic respiration, that means absence of oxygen. Okay, so we have two types of internal or cellular respiration: aerobic respiration, where oxygen is needed to what you can say, in this case oxygen is necessary, okay, or oxygen is used, whereas in anaerobic respiration there is the absence of oxygen. Okay, only glucose is converted to give energy. Okay, so there is a difference between we talked about that in aerobic respiration there is a presence of oxygen, whereas in anaerobic respiration there is an absence of oxygen. Number one. Number two, in aerobic respiration glucose gets completely oxidized, okay, whereas in anaerobic respiration glucose is oxidized to ethyl alcohol. Okay, it is oxidized to ethyl alcohol. In aerobic respiration more energy is produced and is mostly used by plants and animals, whereas in anaerobic respiration less energy is produced and mostly used by bacteria, yeast, okay, and parasitic worms, etc. Then we talked about breathing. That means breathing means exhalation and inhalation. Okay, exhalation and inhalation, where in inhalation what we do, we take in the required gases. In exhalation we release the waste product, that means the gas which is not required by our body, that means we can say a waste product. Okay, so in inhalation process oxygen is mostly inhaled, and in exhalation process carbon dioxide is exhaled, okay, along with water. And there is a rate, as for example number of times of a heartbeat is 72, okay, 72 per minute, that is for the pumping of the blood, whereas the breathing also has a rate which is also called breathing rate. And in a minute inhalation and exhalation, that means a complete breathing, how many times? Almost 20 times per minute we inhale and we exhale, 20 times, okay, in a minute, that means it's 60 seconds on an average, 20, we can say 17 to 20 also, or we can say 18 also, depending upon the work we are doing and the requirement of our body. That means the more, when we require more energy we breathe fast, okay, and when we require less energy we breathe slower as compared in a comparative way. Okay, so today we will be talking about what is the process of breathing, that means how do we breathe, how do we breathe. So basically what happens, each and every system, okay, in our introductory class we talked about system, that means the digestive system, nervous system, circulatory system, okay. So in respiratory system the organs associated are, okay, mostly what we think that the organ associated with respiration is mostly nose and what, mouth, okay, but it's not the fact, okay. If you close your nose you can breathe from the mouth also, and if you close your mouth you can breathe from the nose also, okay, whereas if both is closed, that means there will be a blockage of gases and eventually at few minutes you will die, okay. That means in this process, in the process of respiration, mostly the organs associated is lungs, mostly the organs associated with lungs, whereas in the process of digestion which organ is associated? Stomach, okay. In the process of digestion, that means in digestive systems stomach is most important. Similarly in the process of respiration organ lungs is important, and as we know we have two lungs, okay, inside our body, okay, two lungs which helps in breathing, and being a vital organ, that means a delicate organ, it is protected by a rib cage, that means the bones on the both upper cavity, okay, it is protected by rib cage because it is very delicate organ, okay. Along with lungs the heart and other vital organs are also present in the upper part of a body, okay. So we are not going to talk about those things, we are mostly focusing on lungs, okay. So how does respiration takes place in lungs? So first of all, from the mouth and from the nose, that means from the nasal cavity the air enters, okay. I will make a simple diagram in which we can understand, okay. Suppose this is Okay, we can make it, it doesn't matter, size doesn't matter. So this is a simple diagram of the respiratory system. Okay, we will discuss one by one slowly. So as I said that the air, it enters through our nose and mouth, basically from the nose we can say, okay, or we can say the nostrils, okay, through nostrils. Okay, so let's discuss by going through the content. Okay, so the various organs that helps a living being to breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide are nostrils, number 1, nostrils, number 2, trachea, number 3, we have bronchi, then we have lungs. Okay, basically we have nostrils, trachea, bronchi and lungs. Okay, the organ associated with the process of respiration. Organ associated with the process of respiration. So when we breathe in, the air enters through the nostril. That means when we breathe, the air enters through the nostril. Okay, nostril means from the nose and from the mouth. Okay, depending upon the person, what you can say, intake of oxygen. Okay, when we need more oxygen, we can breathe in through our mouth also. Okay, but basically by breathing through nose, it is mostly preferred. Okay, so breathe in oxygen or breathe in gases through the nostril. Then that gas, what happened? Through the nostrils, hairs and the most inner lining of the nose prevent the dust and germs from entering the respiratory system. That means, why I told that gases taken from the nose, okay, is mostly preferred because the gas contains most germs and dust particles along with it. Okay, so the hairs that are present in our nose, it act as a barrier. Okay, it act as a barrier. That means it stops the dust and the germs entering into the lungs. Okay, so it's very much important to have that hairs and the most inner lining. Okay, most inner lining. The air passing through the nasal passage. Okay, so the air passing through the nasal passage gets warm and moist and enters the lungs through trachea. Okay, enters the through trachea. That means when air passes or air enters from the mouth and the nose, okay, that means the part of nostril. After passing through it, it reaches in the trachea. In trachea, what happens? We have a dividing. Dividing means foot pipe and lungs pipe. Okay, foot pipe and lungs pipe. Okay, that's why at some times when we eat food, some food particles get inside the nasal cavity. Okay, there's inside the nasal cavity, and what it is said, we feel uncomfortable in breathing. Okay, that is called choking. That is also called choking. Okay, so it enters the lungs through the trachea, windpipe and bronchi. Okay, this is trachea, windpipe, and this is bronchi. This is I'll mark here. This is bronchi. Okay, so in lungs, each bronchi divides into smaller tubes called bronchioles. Okay, smaller tubes called bronchioles. That means these tubes are called bronchioles. Okay, that means mostly understand. Okay, so when air enters through the nostril, it goes into the windpipe, that is called trachea, and in trachea the air divides into the bronchi. Okay, we have two bronchi. Then after that, what happens? These bronchi divide again, further divide into tube called bronchioles. Bronchioles, bronchioles. This is called bronchioles. Okay, so after trachea, it reaches to bronchi. That means the two bigger pipes. After that, it is divided into many bronchioles. That means many tube-like structure. Then the gases, they finally reach to the alveoli. Alveoli. Okay, where in alveoli what happens? The gases. Okay, the gases is the cell, the red blood cell is oxidized. Okay, is oxidized in the alveoli. Understood? So this is a simple process. So the air enters the nostril, then it goes to the trachea, that is called windpipe. Then it spreads into two part of the lungs. Okay, the left part and the right part through the bronchi. Okay, then it's further what it can be say distributed in smaller bronchioles. The smaller bronchioles, okay, many bronchioles or tree-like structure. Then finally there are many alveoles. There are many alveoles at the end of the bronchioles. Okay, where exchange of oxygenated gas. The cells is oxidized. The cell is oxidized. Okay, here in alveoli, and there are million of alveoli. It notes that these alveoli are only 10 to 15. There are million of alveoli. Okay, so at the other end of the bronchioles, there are very smaller air sacs called alveoles. These air sacs are surrounded by blood vessels. Okay, so these are surrounded by blood vessels. Okay, why blood vessels? To oxygenate it. Okay, to make it oxidized. Okay, so the air sacs are surrounded by blood vessels. So these blood vessels absorb oxygen present in the air we breathe in. Carbon dioxide present in the blood is released into the air sacs. Okay, so here only exchange of gases takes place. Exchange of gases takes place. Okay, so here only exchange of gases takes place. So if the question comes that in which part of the respiratory system exchange of gases takes place, so the answer will be alveoli. Okay, so here what happens? These lungs contains blood vessels. So in this process what happened? The food, okay, that we eat, okay, when it is burnt, it releases what? Carbon dioxide also. And in alveoli what happened? Exchange of gases takes place. In alveoli only red blood cells is oxidized, okay, and the waste products, that means carbon dioxide, that means impure air is exchanged. Okay, is exchanged. And here only what happened during the process of respiration. Okay, we will talk that chapter maybe tomorrow, okay, or in our next class. It is released through our mouth. Okay, it is released through our mouth. Okay, so expelled out of our body when we breathe out. Thus, during breathing, exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place in the lungs. Here only exchange of gases takes place. Okay, and what happens? As we all know that nowadays there is a virus for the past 1 year, and to say you the fact that it attacks the respiratory tract. So the virus COVID-19 it attacks the respiratory tract. So which part of the respiratory system does it attack? Actually what happens, it attacks this part, alveoli part. What happens, the virus which enters in our body, okay, in our body means in the respiratory system, that means in the lungs, it gets accumulated in the where? Alveoli. It gets accumulated in the alveoli and resulting in what happens? Here what happens? The exchange of gases is blocked. The exchange of gases is blocked in this case here. So even tuberculosis also, okay, in the process of tuberculosis, this part is affected, okay, the alveoli is affected, whereas in inhaling more carbon dioxide, okay, same, okay. So the most important things we can say in terms of respiration is alveoli. So they are, you can say that there are million of alveoli present in the lungs, but what happens, it gets blocked, okay, and due to this blocking there will be a decrease in what, respiratory, decrease in inhalation and exhalation. By this process what happens, most of the body which needs energy or which needs energy to burn or which needs oxygen to burn doesn't get, the body doesn't get the sufficient oxygen, hence resulting in the what you can say, deterioration of the body system. Okay, so this was all about how do we breathe.